Digital twinning is a term that's, in my opinion, it's been overused, and it's been picked up, and what was a digital twin that was somewhat well defined evolved into everything 3D being a digital twin and mass confusion. So being that you work in this space, how do you define a digital twin, and how do you work with teams to really definitively outline what a digital twin is and what it is not?
Yeah, like you said, it's a buzzword right now, right? Everybody's trying to use it, and everybody's trying to say that their product or process is a digital twin, and it's a true twin, and realistically, most of the time it's not. And the definition that I try to simplify or say, what is a real digital twin is it does have to have that feedback loop, and the digital twin itself becomes more of an interface to the data twin that runs in the background. So a digital twin is kind of this, we always say like a single pane of glass, and you've got all these apps and modules and things running in the background to drive the digital twin. And the digital twin is where people interact and get whatever information or data is coming from their asset in a more digestible format. So instead of having a BIM expert fly you through the model, someone on site can click on something with their finger, and that has this intuitive way of bringing up information about the asset, or maybe they can get to the documentation. It doesn't all need to be in the digital twin, but it needs to be accessible through it. It becomes that common data environment type thing, but for people that aren't necessarily super nuanced in the way BIM or VDC technology works or functions between one another. But yeah, point cloud is not a digital twin. A 3D model is not a digital twin. It's the same conversation we had when Revit came out, right? Saying, Revit isn't BIM alone. BIM is, that model element with metadata and properties and being able to pull all of that information. It's the same conversation. Again, we're just moving on to digital twin as the term.
That's key, right? It's more about the methodology. It's the workflow behind it. It's not necessarily a single technology that you deploy that gives you a digital twin. Yeah. It's more about enabling technologies and the integrations between those information flows and the data sets that enables people to pull that information through a single pane of glass. But like you said, having that feedback loop as well. So it's a digital representation of something that exists in the physical world. So you've got that full feedback loop. Like you said, a point cloud is as cool as it is. It in itself is not a digital twin, but that's an enabling technology. It's one of the technologies that can be used to create a digital twin, but it itself is not one. Jeff, I know you've got some thoughts on the topic, and I think Dylan's speaking your language with the data twin. What do you think?
Well, that's I was going to give you a round of applause for that one, Dylan, because digital twin has become a buzzword. And like you said, all those different things, but you tied it back to the key. It's got to be about data. Yeah. It is a common data environment. And I would love for the industry to start to look at the digital twin as exactly what you said. It's that pane of glass that allows each user the access to the data and information that they need. Sometimes that's a scan. Sometimes that's a point cloud. Sometimes it's just a change order. Sometimes it's just a daily report or a clash detection item. Whatever it is, I should have a common data environment to go access it. And if that became the definition, Tanis, I'm going to say this live. If what Dylan just said became the definition, I would start using digital twin, because it is that interactive, living, breathing project, whatever it is. If it's if you're talking about an oil and gas and you're talking about a refinery, or you're talking about a lab, like they're so different, or a healthcare facility, right? They're all so different. So there's this one definition just never fit. And like you said, marketing's marketing, and we're going to hype it up. So I want to pivot you to so now that we're kind of like in agreement of what the broader definition of this digital twin is, how do you get teams to get past that and really like keep it up to date and keep it moving, right? Because if at any point it stops, it's no longer a twin.
Yeah. And you make a great point, right? Like every digital twin is going to be wildly different than any other digital twin. So being able to say definitively, this is a digital twin is very difficult because it looks so different for everybody else. And the models and the point clouds, yes, become building blocks for that final application, but they're not the twin themselves. If you're looking at how to make a digital twin process actually work, I think the best way is looking at your BIM process, your BIM model, your VDC process, and trying to transition that into that asset operational phase. And then once you're kind of at that first step, when I look at a digital twin, I've been calling them modules. And so I would say, here's your digital twin. The first module is a 3D view. The second module is an IoT sensor feedback for a few assets. And then you can keep building on that. So you don't have to have every module built right at the beginning, but if you make really good models that are easy to path and create those data connections to, outside the ecosystem, then you can start building modules whenever you need them.